They teach you how to behave long before they teach you how to think. And by the time you feel something is wrong, the rules are already inside you. This chapter is not about rebellion. It is about awareness. About the quiet moment when you realize your weakness was not born in you. It was placed there carefully, over time. Once you see the rules, you cannot unsee them. And once you cannot unsee them, you begin to change. From the moment you are young, you are told what is acceptable. Sit still, don't speak too loud. Don't ask too many questions. Be polite. Be patient. Be grateful. These words sound harmless. They sound moral. But they are not neutral. They shape you. Society does not begin by breaking you. It begins by smoothing you. It trims your edges. It teaches you to fit. Because people who fit are easy to manage, easy to predict, easy to replace. One of the first unspoken rules is this: obedience is rewarded more than understanding. You see it in school. The child who follows instructions without question is praised. The one who asks why is warned. Curiosity is tolerated only until it becomes inconvenient. Over time, you learn a dangerous lesson, that approval feels safer than truth. So you trade clarity for comfort. You trade honesty for acceptance. You learn how to stay quiet even when something feels wrong. Another rule follows close behind: never stand out too much. Standing out brings attention. Attention brings judgment. Judgment brings risk. So you learn to stay average, to dull your ambition, to hide your hunger. This is how weakness is trained. Not through force, but through fear of isolation. The fear of being seen as difficult, different, too intense, too much. Society praises humility, but rarely explains what it means. True humility is strength under control. But what is taught instead is self-erasure. Make yourself smaller so others feel comfortable. Don't show confidence unless it's wrapped in humor. Don't show certainty unless you apologize for it. Power, when it appears too clearly, makes people uneasy. So society reframes power as arrogance, authority as aggression, discipline as obsession. Look around. The loudest approval is often given to those who follow the script perfectly. They repeat the right words, hold the right opinions, express the right emotions at the right time. They are rewarded not for depth, but for alignment. And the moment you step outside that alignment, even slightly, the tone changes. Questions turn into warnings. Curiosity turns into suspicion. This is not accidental. A system built on order cannot tolerate too many independent minds. Independence creates unpredictability, and unpredictability threatens control. History makes this clear. Thinkers who challenged comfort were rarely welcomed at first. They were ignored, mocked, or attacked. Only later, when their ideas could no longer be contained, were they called wise. Machiavelli understood this pattern. He saw that society does not protect truth. It protects stability. And stability often depends on illusion. One of the strongest illusions is that weakness is natural, that some people are simply meant to lead, and others are meant to follow. But weakness is not fate. It is conditioning. You are trained to doubt yourself before others do, to ask permission, to seek reassurance, to second-guess your instincts. Another unspoken rule is emotional control, but not in the way you think. You are allowed to feel sadness, even fear. These emotions make you relatable, but anger, determination, cold focus. These are discouraged because they lead to action. Society prefers emotions that release pressure, not emotions that build resolve. So you learn to vent instead of act, to talk instead of move, to feel instead of change. You are kept busy processing feelings instead of shaping reality. And slowly, without ever being told directly, you begin to believe that strength is dangerous, that wanting more is selfish, that silence is safer than truth. This is the awakening moment. The moment you realize these rules were never written down because they work best when they are invisible. No one had to tell you directly to stay small. You learned it by watching what was rewarded and what was punished. You learned it by noticing who was praised and who was pushed aside. The most powerful rule of all is this: believe the system is fair. Because once you believe that, you stop questioning your position within it. You assume your limits are personal failures, not structural designs. But the truth is harder and quieter. Society does not fear bad men. It fears men who cannot be easily shaped. Men who think clearly. Men who act deliberately. Men who do not need permission to trust their own judgment. That is why the rules are subtle. Why they sound kind. Why they are wrapped in moral language. Because rules enforced by guilt last longer than rules enforced by force. The awakening is not anger. It is clarity. A calm understanding that much of what you were taught was not meant to make you strong. It was meant to make you manageable. This chapter is not asking you to reject society. It is asking you to see it clearly. To understand that many limits placed on you were never about your safety. They were about control. Once you see the rules, you gain distance from them. And in that distance, strength begins to return. The first awakening is realizing that weakness is not accidental. It is trained. From an early age, society rewards obedience, comfort, and predictability over independence and clarity. These unspoken rules quietly teach people to stay small, avoid attention, and doubt their own instincts. Once you see these patterns, you understand a deeper truth. Society does not fear evil men. It fears independent ones. Comfort feels harmless, soft, warm, familiar. But comfort is rarely innocent. Once you begin to notice the rules, you enter a quieter phase, a darker one. This is where you realize that society does not keep you weak through cruelty. It keeps you weak through ease, through small rewards, through the promise that if you don't resist, nothing bad will happen. One of the deepest unspoken rules is this: stay comfortable and you will be left alone. Comfort becomes a deal. If you don't question too much, if you don't push too hard, if you don't reach beyond your place, the system will cushion you. Not lift you, not strengthen you, just soften the fall. And many people accept this deal without realizing they signed it. Comfort numbs urgency. When life feels just good enough, the fire inside you quiets down. Hunger fades, sharp edges dull. You stop asking what you could become and start asking how to stay where you are. Society understands this well. That is why distraction is everywhere. Endless entertainment, endless noise, endless escape. Not to make you happy, but to keep you occupied. A busy mind does not rebel. A distracted man does not build. Another unspoken rule appears here. Never take your ambition too seriously. Dreaming is allowed. Talking is allowed. But acting with discipline and intent makes people uneasy. A man who wakes early, trains his body, controls his time, and moves in silence feels threatening. Not because he is violent, but because he is no longer dependent. So discipline is mocked. Focus is called obsession. Solitude is labeled loneliness. The system prefers men who are emotionally open but mentally scattered. Men who talk about their pain but never turn it into direction. Expression is encouraged. Transformation is not. You see this in culture everywhere. Struggle is praised only when it ends in entertainment. Pain is accepted when it makes others feel inspired, but rejected when it makes you colder, sharper, more serious. There is an unspoken expectation that suffering should soften you. But when suffering hardens you, people pull away. Comfort also teaches you to reveal too much. You are told that honesty means sharing everything. That connection requires full exposure. But total exposure removes leverage. When everyone knows your fears, doubts, and plans, they also know how to slow you down. Machiavelli warned that power begins with control of perception. What you show, what you hide, what you hold back. Yet modern society flips this truth and calls restraint unhealthy. But think carefully. Who benefits when you overshare? Who gains when your inner world is no longer private? Another rule sinks in quietly. Stability is more important than growth. A steady job you hate is praised over a risk that could change your life. A routine relationship is valued over solitude that might rebuild you. You are taught to protect comfort, even when it costs your potential. Fear plays a role here, not loud fear. Soft fear, the fear of discomfort, the fear of uncertainty, the fear of being alone with your thoughts. So you learn to tolerate things that drain you. You call it maturity. You call it responsibility. But often it is just resignation dressed in adult language. Look closely at how manageable people live. Their days are full but shallow. Their emotions are expressed but unresolved. Their dreams are talked about but delayed. They are not miserable enough to change and not fulfilled enough to feel alive. That is the perfect balance for control. Society does not need to lock you in a cage if it can convince you the cage is comfortable. If the food arrives on time, if the lights stay on, if the walls feel familiar. And here is the darkest part of the descent. Most people defend the system that weakens them. They mock those who reject comfort. They call discipline extreme. They call ambition unrealistic. They attack what exposes their own compromises. A man who chooses discomfort forces others to confront their choices. And that makes people uncomfortable. So they say, why try so hard? Why take life so seriously? Why not just enjoy things? But enjoyment without purpose becomes decay. Pleasure without direction becomes numbness. The descent is realizing that comfort is not rest. Rest is earned, comfort is offered, with strings attached. Every time you choose comfort over effort, the system tightens slightly, not enough to feel trapped, just enough to keep you still. The descent is lonely, because once you see this, you begin to feel out of place. Conversations feel shallow, distractions feel loud, ease feels heavy. You start to sense that freedom does not come from having more comfort, but from needing less of it. This is where many turn back. They see the truth, then retreat, because discomfort demands sacrifice. It demands discipline. It demands silence. But those who continue descending are not falling. They are shedding weight. They are learning that control does not come from force, but from dependence. And the less dependent you are on comfort, the harder you are to control. The descent is not dramatic. It is quiet and unsettling. It is the moment you realize comfort has been guiding your decisions more than truth. That ease has been shaping your limits more than fear ever could. Comfort is not kindness. It is a leash made of soft fabric. And the first step toward freedom is noticing how tightly it fits. The descent is realizing that comfort is not kindness, it is control. Society uses ease, distraction, and stability to keep people manageable and dependent. Discipline, restraint, and solitude are discouraged because they create independence. When comfort becomes your guide, growth slows and potential fades. If you remain comfortable, you remain manageable. And manageable men are never free. Mastery is quiet. It is not a shout, a protest, or a battle cry. It is a calm within the storm, a clarity that others rarely notice until it is too late. By now, you have seen the rules. You have felt the pull of comfort. You have noticed the traps of obedience, distraction, and approval. But seeing alone is not enough. Mastery begins when you learn to move through the world without surrendering your inner authority. The first unspoken rule to embrace is this: you do not owe anyone your inner world. Thoughts, plans, emotions, desires, these are yours. Sharing them freely is often framed as honesty, but it is often surrender. Every person who knows your boundaries can influence them. Every person who knows your fears can manipulate them. Keeping parts of yourself unseen is not deceit, it is protection. Mastery is not about being cold, it is about being deliberate. It is the difference between reacting and choosing, between speaking to be heard and speaking to move the pieces, between living under the weight of others' expectations and walking unshaken beneath them. Society teaches you to crave approval, to bend toward warmth, to soften your edges so others feel safe. But respect is earned through consistency, discipline, and restraint, not smiles or apologies. Stop chasing validation. Stop explaining yourself to those who do not matter. When your presence demands respect because it is deliberate, the world shifts around you without a fight. Observe history. The men who changed it were rarely the loudest. They were the patient, the calculated, the ones who understood when to move and when to wait. Not because they feared consequence, but because they understood timing. Fortune favors those who prepare quietly and act decisively. Discipline is the bridge between insight and mastery. Control over your time, your body, your mind, your emotions. These are invisible powers. No one applauds them. No one celebrates them. But they compound, silently creating an unshakable foundation. A man who governs himself becomes a force that cannot be redirected by gossip, opinion, or whim. Mastery also requires a careful understanding of what to reveal and what to conceal. The world will reward transparency in small doses, a smile, a shared story, a token of vulnerability. But never give away the core of your drive. Never let your hunger be predictable. Uncertainty in your depth makes you unassailable. People can tolerate noise, but they cannot tolerate a mind they cannot map. Emotional intelligence is another tool of the master. Feelings are not weaknesses. They are data. They reveal intentions, gauge reactions, and inform decisions. But a man who acts on impulse gives away his power. One who masters emotions uses them strategically, like a current beneath calm waters, carrying him forward without revealing its strength. Solitude is part of mastery. It is not loneliness. It is a laboratory, a place to refine thought, discipline, and vision. The world will tempt you to fill silence with distraction, to trade reflection for approval. Do not. Those who master themselves grow in these moments, while others grow dependent on noise and validation. Another quiet law: freedom comes from needing less. The less you need the world to validate you, entertain you, or provide for you, the less it can control you. A man who is content without constant approval, without constant comfort, without constant distraction, cannot be easily trapped. He moves with intention because his energy is spent only on what he chooses. Mastery is also about patience. The impatient man acts recklessly, exposing weakness. The patient man moves like water, observing the current, using it when the moment arrives. His strength is invisible, yet undeniable. Others may underestimate him. That is his advantage. Control over perception is the final step. Do not broadcast your ambitions. Do not reveal your limits. The less others know, the fewer they can exploit. This is not paranoia. This is strategy. Power belongs to the one who others cannot predict, and respect belongs to the one whose mind is a mystery. By now, you may notice something. Mastery is not rebellion. It is not loud protests or breaking rules openly. It is independence of mind. It is the ability to live in the world, observe it, use it, and remain untouched at your core. The world can influence your surroundings, your job, your relationships, your environment, but it can never influence your direction if your mind remains free. The true masters are not admired by all. They are often envied in silence, misunderstood openly, and recognized late. But recognition is secondary. What matters is self-possession. What matters is being untouchable in thought, deliberate in action, and calm in the face of manipulation. The final law is subtle. The world can challenge you, but only you can control you. Every distraction, every attempt to weaken you, every temptation to soften your edges, these are tests, not barriers. The man who masters himself passes these tests daily. He does not rage. He does not panic. He acts according to principle, timing, and intention. And in doing so, he walks a path no one else can dictate. Mastery feels quiet because it is rarely noticed. It is the power that moves without alarm, builds without applause, and achieves without show. But for the one who sees it from inside, it is unmistakable. It is freedom. Freedom from manipulation, freedom from fear, freedom from the invisible chains of comfort, opinion, and expectation. Mastery is not given. It is grown, nurtured in silence, strengthened through discipline, perfected in patience, and guarded through restraint. When you reach it, you step into a world that is no longer capable of owning you. Mastery is not rebellion, it is independence of mind. It is the calm certainty that no one can steer your life without your consent. It is the quiet strength of discipline, patience, and deliberate action. It is knowing when to speak, when to wait, and when to act. Once mastery takes hold, society can influence your surroundings, but it can never influence your direction. Mastery is the final stage of awareness, discipline, and independence. It is not about loud rebellion, but about controlling yourself while moving through the world deliberately. By keeping your thoughts, emotions, and plans guarded, you make yourself unmanipulable. Discipline, patience, and solitude become your invisible tools. Once you reach mastery, society can influence your environment, but it can never dictate your path.